Hey guys, this is my leak. This is the podcast. It's been a minute, but I am here. So I recorded a podcast last week, but I did not love it. It felt forced and I couldn't even stand listening to it for that very reason. Back in the day, I used to listen to every episode of mine. I know I did because it resonated with me. And so I listened to that last one. I was like, no, so this is take two for me and the most honest stab at an end of year podcast for you. I like sitting down at the end of the year and creating an offering for you. And the original version was a hardcore and very organized take on things I've seen in my work this year. This version is going to unfold in more of a hot takes and a legit personal experiences podcast and is most honest for me right now. Yes, I could/should be leading everyone back to working with me because we all know that that's what we should be using some of these platforms for, but if this life has taught me nothing else, it is that I don't have to work hard to sell people on my value because you see it in my honesty. I believe that. So I picked some topics that I want to riff on, sit down, grab a coffee, or don't. Happy New Year, friends. Okay. I am going to start with what I feel like has plagued me most this year. Every year, I think I've seen the worst of humanity, the literal worst of human behavior. And like clockwork, I experience the depths of desperation in others. And while in past years, I was probably more on the why me side, why me? This year, I'm more like, why not me? And of course me, of course me, because I don't allow people's behavior to close me off from human connection. Of course me, because I am relationally generous. My therapist has brought that up for me multiple times. She helps bring this into focus for me when I'm on my why me and getting to, of course, me. I am relationally generous. Unless someone is being super squirrely up front, which I do see that sometimes, I am going to lead with trust in my relationships over suspicion. If you've managed to make it into my orbit, which is probably not the easiest to do, I'm going to trust you until you give me a reason not to. Of course, me, because I assume good intent. I've done things to people and I know there was no malice intended. So if I get hurt by something, I'm able to be generous in my interpretation. Of course, me, because I have compassion about the human experience. Good people do bad things. Being a human is incredibly complex. We all bring our histories to the way we interact with others, and I can be really understanding in this way. Of course, me, because I'm learning not to make someone else's behavior mean anything about me. And I'm not going to lie and say that's not something I don't struggle with from time to time. I do struggle with it because whenever I have an experience with someone that blows my mind, I always wonder what I did to get myself into this situation. And the only thing I can think of is being myself. The only way around this would be to not be myself. And that's a risk I am unwilling to take. And so being hurt and betrayed by others is in the fine print of staying open in this life. But what I am taking with me into the new year is not giving more chances than necessary to find out if someone's crazy. I'm calling harm exactly what it is and not making excuses in the form of context. Yes, you had an effed up childhood and you have a hard time with some things, but time's up on that. I have spent so much time using my skills with people who may not have as many, and I'm just going to be more discerning around the amount of time I give to situations that I already know are not going to end well. If this person changes, I likely will not be around to see it, and that is okay. That's the piece I'm taking with me into the new year. This leads me to, I would say, second half of the year, maybe most of it, I'll be honest, has really got me thinking about gossip. I have had to get clearer on this because I think so many of us don't want to be seen as mean or as a person who gossips. We want to drink our water and mind our business. And we have used silence as the mature option, or so we think. You know what I have seen happen over the last decade with this? People have gotten out of fucking hand. I'm sorry. I just had to say the thing. People are doing things to ruin others. And because I am a person who cares, they're mostly ruining themselves. They are able to go around harming people. And because no one says anything, we keep connecting with these people for optics and opportunity. And it's starting to fall apart. And I'm seeing it with my own two eyes. So I'm going to hold my own hand when I say this. When we refuse to name what we're noticing, especially when it comes to patterns of harm, betrayal, maybe some misalignment, but for sure harm and betrayal, and we don't say anything, when we refuse to name what we're noticing, we are not becoming more evolved people. We are becoming less honest. And so now I'm teasing out the difference between gossip and making it make sense, or as we'll just call it, sense making. Gossip is entertainment. It is someone sort of trying to assert their power. It is trying to bond with someone at another person's expense. That's gossip. Making it make sense is reality checking in a safe and principled container. Sense making is not venting into the void or crowdsourcing outrage. It is a deliberate practice that I am getting more familiar and comfortable with this year, and I'm taking it into next year. And so what I'm doing is making sure I'm sharing with people who are not invested in drama, people who can hold complexity without, oh, you should forgive this person or you should take revenge out on this person. It's like there are some people that you simply cannot do this with, that you can't make sense with or sense make with because they cannot hold complexity. We've been in situations where you try to talk to someone about something and they are always trying to rush to put a bow on it and make people happy or make it sound or feel good. And this is not the place where you can do this. When you're sharing with people who will tell you the truth, even if it makes you uncomfortable. And so those are my benchmarks for where I'm doing this. These are some of the things that I feel sense making says. It says, I'm here to orient myself in reality so that I can choose the next move clearly. So if you don't see me with this person, if I turn down something involving this person, if I see you with this person, I am going to orient myself in reality. Something that I feel like I have to promise myself, you guys, is that I want to say, I am a trustworthy narrator of my own experience. I am a trustworthy narrator of my own experience because I am no longer willing to not be a trustworthy person when it comes to what I have experienced with some of these. Let me stop my leg, bring it back. With some people out here, it's not cool. I'm not saying, it's like, I'm not saying warning, but what I am saying is that I want to share something with you so that you can make your own informed choice because I care about you. We want to say we are our sister's keepers, but if we're not being honest, we're doing everyone a disservice. And so I am now learning that silence is not maturity. It's not that, and so this is, if I think about a word, because I see everybody, what's my word? I don't know that I have a word, but if I were to say, what is the word for this podcast? It is honesty. And so speaking of honesty, I can lean into some of what I'm seeing in my work around honesty. Most people who come to me want to do things around career and work, and I am 1000% cool with that. I just want to say, in most cases, why they come doesn't end up being what we work on. Some will come saying they want to be an influencer, or they want to start a business, or they want to switch jobs. But when we dig deep, that's not what they want at all. I don't think they're intentionally being dishonest. They are simply used to sharing the most socially acceptable, legible version of their desire, not the truest one. So we tend to lead with a culturally approved want. Start a business, become a content creator, grow my platform, even go after the raise or the taller job or whatever it is. And sorry, y'all been here. I start talking and I get super thirsty. I'm sorry. What people often mean is they want permission to change without blowing up their life. They want to be seen without being judged. They want to stop proving and start living. They want relief from the dissatisfaction in their lives that maybe other people don't see, but they are extremely dissatisfied with their lives, even if it looks sexy on the outside. So working with me or coaching with me becomes their first honest room. These are the rooms where you can be honest about what you want and nothing sounds silly or too big or too grand. The types of transformations that I have seen this year, the businesses I've seen started, the lives, the families, the boyfriends, the girlfriends, the babies, I've seen it all. And so I just want to say our lives require so much honesty. You have to be able to say the thing you want and to sit with the anxiety you might feel if someone else isn't feeling it right away. I think so often we want to be able to pitch our idea or say something to someone, the person closest to us, and we are looking for them to approve it. You may not get that. Just because somebody doesn't bat their lashes back at you doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It just means this is not the room that you can be most honest in. Which is, I'm going to segue for just a little bit, something I've been talking to my partner about. I've been saying that if we want our children to be honest with us, we have to create an environment that welcomes the truth. So, if you are, getting lied to, if we don't want to be lied to, everything can't shock and surprise us, or we can't always rush to understand something. You might not get it. So I sometimes, if someone says something to me, I try to not let judgment be the first thing. So if someone says something to me and I'm sitting there and I'm blinking, and it's like, what? And it's like, the honest answer is, this is new to me. This is new. I haven't heard this before. That doesn't make it bad. This is just new. I might need some time. Let me sit with this. Thank you for sharing this with me. But I think that's most of it. When we don't, just because somebody's not doing what we're doing or operating the way we operate or doing something socially acceptable, we don't have to always judge it. Just well, do you have a thought or an opinion? You know what? I don't. Not yet. It's still new. So, back to our lives requiring honesty. You have to be honest about what's working in your life and what's not working anymore. And over the years in this podcast, I've called it taking inventory. That's really what it is. What's still working and what's no longer working. And I got some small things, y'all, that are not working. I've been saying to my kiddos they are 5 and 7. I said, what's not working for me? Making breakfast every day. It's just not working. Y'all got to figure this out. My son, we're too young. You're not. I'm going to show you how to use the microwave. I'm going to show you where your stuff is. I'm going to make it more convenient for you because this is no longer working for me. We have to stop pretending things are fine when it's not. And my therapist pulled my card on this recently. I had a situation that I was talking to her about, and I said, what I'm going to do? I'm just going to reply and say it's fine. And then she asked, is it fine? And I was like, dang, isn't it crazy how it's like that little small question, is it fine? Well, no, it's not really fine, but I don't want to deal with it anymore. And so then she asked if I had fear around what others might think if I didn't rush to smooth something over. And that's where all the magic lied for me, because she was so right. I wanted it to be fine so that I could move on, But am I really moving on if I'm lying? Stay tuned, because I have not done anything about this. I've not said it's fine, but I've not said anything. So I want to talk about something that I've talked about for years that I want to bring back into the chat. Hard work. We are still very much in an era of hard work, even when the internet wants us to believe something different. A friend who listens to this podcast, I hope they're not listening now, but even if they are, fine, listen. A friend recently texted me after seeing a post where I shared how many coaching hours I worked this year. And I might be projecting because I am human, but it landed like, that's a lot, and maybe it is. But here's what I want to be clear about. I am not afraid of hard work. I am not afraid to put in time. I am not afraid to build skills in public. I've watched a lot of people pursue things or pivot or rebrand, whatever we are calling it this year, and assume that a new photo, a new title, or maybe a menu of services makes them an expert. It does not. I am not an expert because of how I look or how I position myself. I am not a master because I decided that I was going to be one. Now, here's what I do believe I have. What I do have is a natural gift. I do believe that I can see hurdles and roadblocks as one other person may not be able to see them on their own. I believe that I can see something different from someone else you worked with, because that is the fingerprint of who I am and what I do. And so I think working with me, I see things differently. I can widen the view. I can help people get steady. A client said to me this year, we started, and the first sentence was, Myleik, I need you to widen my view on this. And that stuck with me because I feel like that's the work that I do, is I can help widen the view. A lot of times we get so narrow about the way our life looks or what all the options are or how much time something is going to take or how to do something. I think that there are so many paths to your treasure. There are so many ways to get there, and maybe you need to work with somebody who can help you see things differently. Now, here's the part that people miss. I think that I'm not afraid to sharpen my gift through practice. Many people, many hours, many conversations, and mistakes. I believe that practice is what helps refine the craft. And one thing that I can say is that I am so much better than I was on day one. And I think I was pretty solid then, but I am so much better. And I know that I'm going to get better every single year because I still see new things. And now I see them with some context. The classes that I took wasn't just about getting credentials. It's getting access to tools that work. And I like to call them tools for freedom because I've tested them, stress tested them. And now, I've done some deep diving on some of the things that I do. And so I feel like I'm using a lot of things at the fullest capacity. And I've also been able to name and refine tools of my own, things that I have developed on my own that work. And so there are things that I've been doing for years that I now do better because repetition teaches you what a theory or something you've learned in a book never will. So as we enter another season of rebrands and pivots, I want to offer this to you. Don't be afraid of the work. Don't be afraid to do a lot of it. And stay away from shallow work and shallow people. Okay? So I want to ground down now in hopes that we can be more honest in our work and in our lives. I get this newsletter that I don't even remember signing up for. I feel like we're all in that era, right? But it's from this guy who I believe his name is Brian Parrish, I think, okay? And he writes this newsletter that's called Brain Food. And so he sent something out last week that said that the most important driver of success is knowing what you want. A lot of people will say, I'll work with some people that's like, I don't want to reach out to you because I didn't know what I wanted. I don't know what I want to work on. And I'm going to say this to you now, whether you work with me or not, this is not about that. If you don't know what you want, find someone who can help you be honest. If your life as it is does not feel fine, stop saying it is. The reason why I think this is important is because finding someone that you can be honest with or who can help you be honest will point you in the direction of your treasure. I think a big mistake some people make is thinking that someone can do the work for you. So I've seen a lot of recent posts online about, breaking up with this person and that person and nobody being good enough and everything you need. Da, 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 da. Yes. You are the source of your wisdom, and you can have someone who can help point you to your treasure and say, girl or boy, it's that way. Okay. So before I go, if you're new here, I am Myleik Teele. I'm an entrepreneur, a coach, and a community builder. I help people grow without losing themselves. I host an online community, Myleik and Mamas. I do events, retreats, places that I get to bring my work to life. I'm going to be bringing my work to life even more this year. Find me at myleik.com. If this episode resonated, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's next. Send it to a friend. Let them get to know me too. Hey, friend. You can also find me on Instagram and Threads for more conversations on life, work, and everything in between. Thank you for listening.